On July 19th, 1977, the world teacher, the Christ Maitreya, head of the spiritual hierarchy, emerged from his ancient retreat and is now in the modern world. With his disciples, the Masters of the Wisdom, he will inaugurate the new age of synthesis and brotherhood.
Good morning and welcome to our World Teacher programme on Wellington's Access Radio 106.1 FM, presented by Teresa and David on behalf of Share International New Zealand.
Today we feature an article titled Ecology and Spirituality by Dominique Abdelnour, a French Share International co-worker based in Paris. It begins.
Spirituality is often associated with spiritual ideals detached from material reality, while ecology is associated with a scientific study of the relationships between man and nature. Etymologically, spiritually comes from spirit, pneuma, the divine breath creating the universe, and ecology from ekois, house or environment, and logos, study.
In this article, I will try to show that ecology is a spiritual discipline and that spirituality involves an ecological approach. Two sentences by the Master Djwhal Khul, writing through Alice A. Bailey, relate to spirituality.
All activity which drives the human being forward towards some form of development, physical, emotional, mental, intuitional, social, if it is in advance of his present state, is essentially spiritual in nature. Everything is spiritual which tends towards understanding, towards kindness, towards that which is productive of beauty, and which can lead man on to a fuller expression of his divine potentialities.
This suggests that spirituality relates to all areas of life, including ecology, science, politics and economics. The generally accepted mainstream scientific approach suggests that 13 billion years ago, an original soup of protons, neutrons and photons agglomerated into stars to form atoms of hydrogen, oxygen and carbon. Then certain stars exploding into a supernovae formed the heavier atoms such as copper, zinc, gold, lead, etc. All of this at random. By lucky coincidence and the law of natural selection, life and intelligence emerged. Thought would therefore be seen as the product of the brain.
However, more and more scientists question this model and wonder whether consciousness could be a prerequisite for matter, thus approaching the doctrine of esotericists: the one life creates, vitalizes, animates the universe. For esotericists, spirit brings consciousness to matter, and one of the goals of the divine plan is the evolution of consciousness and the elevation of the vibrations of matter.
Russian esotericist H.P. Blavatsky synthetically formulated these principles. Nature is not a fortuitous concurrence of atoms. Life precedes the form and survives the last atom. The great breath, or rather the breath of life, is in every animal, in every animated particle, in every mineral atom. Spirit and matter being one, spirit is matter on the seventh plane. Matter is spirit at the lowest point of its cyclical activity.
So there would only be a vibratory difference between spirit and matter. The materialistic conception of an earth made of dead matter leads to a feeling of separation and the overexploitation of resources by humans who live like parasites by neglecting the consequences of their actions.
Modern esotericists, Alice A. Bailey and Benjamin Creme, confirm the existence of an evolution parallel to human evolution, that of divas. They are in charge of the form aspect and work through feeling.
Quote, Devas evolve through the evolution of feeling, of sensory awareness. We evolve through the development of mind. We are the sons of mind. They are the daughters of feeling. Their evolution proceeds through the ever-growing awareness of what is, here and now, what exists in life, in matter, in vibration, in everything that you could think of as creation. That is their experience. Moment to moment they are sensing life and matter and growing in awareness of what they are like.
We are doing the same thing through our sensory apparatus, but we go further than that. The Devas, at least up to the human level, do not think about it. They do not mentate. Mentation is not part of their activity. But sensory awareness, a heightened extreme sensitivity to the slightest alteration of vibration, becomes theirs as they evolve. Gradually they evolve to finer and finer perception of what is now. Benjamin Creme, Share International, January 1993 edition.
The existence of a parallel line of evolution is common knowledge amongst most traditions, including shamanism. We can cite the experiment of the Findhorn Gardens in Findhorn, Scotland, how working with the subtle intelligences of nature, devas, made fertile a barren land and led it to produce abundant flowers, beautiful vegetables and fruit. Many gardeners also interact with their plants. Their positive effect is taken for granted to such an extent that having green fingers is a common saying. It shows that an energetic exchange with the plant world allows plants to grow and become more beautiful.
Benjamin Creme goes further by evoking the negative role of human imbalance on the work of devas, for example, on the Earth's climate. When we are greedy and selfish and competitive, trying to get ahead of everybody, then inevitably we create disequilibrium. Then the devas, who control the weather, the oceans, rain and so on, go out of equilibrium, and we have the most extraordinary weather patterns, like now, around the planet. It is the result to an extent of our own imbalance.
Many scientists study the intelligence of nature. For example, the anthropologist Jeremy Narby, author of Intelligence in Nature. Tiny, single-celled beings, myxomycetes, can solve complex labyrinths. Bees whose brains are the size of a pinhead can understand abstract concepts. Some plants, such as cuscuta, parasitic plants, move and assess the nutritional content of their victims before deciding to settle on them. Plants learn, memorize, and decide, although they have no brain.
Stefano Mancuso, founder of plant neurobiology, has shown that plants have the 5 senses of taste, smell, touch, sight, hearing. They memorize information, decide, communicate and develop a form of social life based on cooperation and exchange.
Researchers have noticed that some plants are built according to mathematical formulas. Many natural objects, Romanesco cabbage, snow crystals, ferns, leaf veins, tree branches, streams and rivers, etc., develop according to fractals, objects described by a mathematical formula such as a curve or a surface whose structure is invariant.
The scales of pine cones and the pineapple, daisies and sunflower petals are arranged in doubled spirals following a Fibonacci sequence. Each number is the sum of the previous 2 numbers, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, etc. And the ratio between 2 consecutive numbers converges to the golden ratio.
This arrangement ensures maximum exposure to the sun for the foliage. The golden ratio appears more directly in the geometry of the helix or spirals of shells, for example in nautilus shells. Scientists thus confirm the writings of the English esotericist Alice A. Bailey in evoking the creative intelligence aspect of the universe. The third aspect works through mathematical formulas.
In addition to the high level of chemistry of vegetables with their many molecules which are used to care and cure, we can mention cases where animals deploy technologies that perform better than the best human machines without polluting at a lower cost. Praising biomimicry, Idris Abakani writes, "Nature is a library. Read it instead of burning it."
He cites many examples. Shark skin scales form the best anti-turbulence coating in the world, and aircraft manufacturers take inspiration from them. One of the most crack-resistant materials is mother of pearl, made up of thousands of stacked sheets welded with protein. It is made out of plankton and the sun. The wires of mussels adhere to the rock thanks to the best non-polluting glue in the world, which works underwater. The smashing mantis shrimp breaks hard shells with its hammers, accelerating like a revolver bullet. Spider silk is stronger than steel and any synthetic fibre. The diatom phytoplankton, whose skeleton is made of silicon, manages distances of 10 nanometers. We need $1 billion factories to produce similar-sized silicon chips. These many examples show that nature uses much more advanced and efficient technologies than humans without polluting.
It is often said that the natural world lives according to the ruthless law of the jungle, where the strongest eat the weakest. Yet on closer inspection, nature is fond of symbiosis, where two species help each other, sharks and pilotfish. Trees breed bacteria in their roots, alder. Bacteria digest the nutrients in the soil and bring them in an absorbable form to the roots of the tree. While the tree brings its photosynthetic sap to bacteria, fungi pre-digest the tannin of fallen leaves, allowing mites to feed on the remains. 90% of plants associate with mycelium to extract nutrients from the soil.
Likewise, a wonderful ecosystem develops with earthworms, which ventilate the soil and transport the nutrients from the decomposed leaves downwards. The Bateria shrub produces a juice which nourishes ants, and in exchange they defend them from leaf-eating insects. We can see the formidable organization of bees, ants, herds, with thousands of individuals helping each other, even sacrificing their life for the group.
Nature has thus found a dynamic balance largely based on cooperation. Apart from mankind, each species always leaves space for others to exist, which is a foundation of spirituality. This balance of dynamic cooperation is what is demanded of men today. Evolution, the work of devas, intelligence, mathematics, cooperation. Everything seems to indicate that nature is a living being, endowed with a consciousness and a purpose.
To the esotericist, the role of mankind is to spiritualize matter, that is, to raise the vibrations of matter and of the billions of elemental lives that make up their bodies. In exchange for food, humans transmit high energies to the lower kingdoms, raising their vibrations. Mankind is also the keeper of Mother Earth.
Today, humans are behaving more like parasites, exploiting other kingdoms and endangering the work accomplished during millions of years to perfect these kingdoms. However, a powerful voice is rising from humanity to establish a more just relationship with nature, and we are becoming aware of our responsibility towards other kingdoms.
In Benjamin Krem's words, the environment will become the #1 issue throughout the world. Even a few years ago, no politician took the environment seriously. Now the concern is there. This growth in concern is the result of increasing self-awareness. There is a link, Maitreya says, between the inner and the outer environment. The moment you become aware of yourself, the environment within your mind, spirit, and body is under your control. This awareness then leads you to look into the outer environment.
The principle of the one life animating the earth and its inhabitants brings the notion of fundamental unity, brotherhood between humans, and respect for nature. This notion is increasingly expressed in this area of synthesis of Aquarius by the notion of the planetary village.
Benjamin Creme wrote, "We have the illusion that we are separate, but in cosmos there is no separation. Every atomic particle is related to every other atomic particle everywhere in cosmos. So there is nothing we can do which does not have an effect, for good or for ill, somewhere in the world and in our own life."
People, like the environmental campaigner Vandana Shiva, have widely propagated the idea of the connection between justice and ecology. Nature has gifted this rich biological diversity to us. We will not allow it to become the monopoly of a handful of corporations. We will keep it as the basis of our wealth and our sustenance.
Humans are realizing that Mother Earth is our only home, that it is in danger, and that it is time to act to save it. Their way of expressing spirituality is by asking for just relationships between humans and other kingdoms. That article was sourced from the January 2020 edition of Share International magazine.
You're listening to the World Teacher Program on Wellington's Access Radio 106.1 FM. Our next article is sourced from the December 1985 issue of Share International magazine. It's by Benjamin Creme's Master and is titled The Role of Man. It begins,
"In time, men will come to understand the true nature of their relationship with the lower kingdoms and accept gladly the role of steward for their evolution. This will lead to a transformation in all aspects of farming and agriculture, in forestry and fishing. Gone forever will be the present methods: despoliation of forest and soil, overcultivation of impoverished land, greedy and reckless pursuit of many species of animal and fish.
A halt must soon be called to this unholy war on nature's bounty. No longer must men allow the poisoning of the earth and waters, which threatens the lives of man and beast alike. No longer is it fitting to engage in farming methods which prohibit the basic rights of movement and access to air and light. The cruel exploitation for experiment of countless creatures must give way to saner means of research and knowledge.
Many today are concerning themselves with these issues and calling for change. Men's minds are moving in the right direction, and naught can halt this momentum. Nevertheless, vast changes are needed forthwith to maintain the ecological balance in the world."
When the earth is viewed as a living entity, complete in all its parts, each essential to the whole, a new vision and a new sanity will prevail. Men will come to see themselves as stewards of a natural order, preordained to function in harmony and beauty, each kingdom related, above it and below it, according to the plan.
Today, vast sums are spent on research into nature's laws. At the same time, enormous resources are wasted and misused. Were these resources directed to stabilizing the natural balance, a new world would emerge. Man would find himself the possessor of secrets long hidden from him. He would enter areas of knowledge until now closed to his enquiring mind. Nature would yield up her mysteries, and man would begin a partnership with the creating Logos, taking his rightful place as custodian of the plan.
Man has the power to make all things new or destroy his world. Never before has such omnipotence been his. To ensure the correct use of this power requires the expression of a wisdom seldom seen today, but one that man must find within himself or die.
Fortunately for the race, man is not alone. From behind the scenes of life is now emerging a group of knowers, men endowed with all the attributes of God. From them will flow the wisdom of the ages to guide and shepherd man along the way.
Under their inspiration, man will retrace his steps and begin anew. Under their wise tutelage will he begin the ascent into divinity, to demonstrate that divinity, potential but unexpressed.
Thus will men in time become the knowers, servants alike of the purposes of God. From them, then, will flow a stream of universal wisdom to nurture all together in the furtherance of the plan.
To finish, we'll play an extract from Maitreya's message number 42, as given through Benjamin Creme.
Many times have you heard me say that my coming means change. Specifically, the greatest change will be in the hearts and minds of men. For my return among you is a sign that men are ready to receive a new life. That new life for men do I bring in abundance on all the planes. This life will flow, reaching the hearts and souls and bodies of men, bringing them nearer to the source of life itself. My task will be to channel those waters of life through you. I am the water carrier. I am the vessel of truth. That truth shall I reveal to you and lift you into your true nature. I am the river. Through me flows the new stream of God-given life, and this shall I bestow on you. Thus shall we together walk through my garden, smell the perfume of my flowers, and know the joy of closeness to God.
And that's our program for today. If you have any questions or would like to know more about the World Teacher Maitreya and the Masters of Wisdom, please visit the website share-international.org.
To inquire about Share International magazine subscriptions, books by Benjamin Creme, or our monthly free of charge newsletter, which contains extracts from the current Share International magazine, the number is 04234 1133, or write to P.O. Box 9576 Wellington.
Thank you for listening to us on Wellington's Access Radio 106.1 FM. And please tune in to our next World Teacher programme on Saturday the 23rd of November at the usual time of 10 a.m.
You can listen again to this programme and previous ones by visiting our website at share-international-nz.info and click on the radio tab.